Welcome to LTI's History of Mexican Theater, Part 1, The Ancient Present. Episode 1, Olmec Theater. I am your host, Dominique de los Reyes. Olmec civilization was one of the greatest in history, one of only a very few to develop agriculture on its own. It went from a life of hunting and gathering to the building of cities, great pyramids, and aqueducts. They even had a written language and the number 0 and many other amazing things. And yet, we don't know much about them. Their civilization was discovered only 163 years ago on the Gulf Coast of Mexico. An enormous human head carved from a volcanic boulder was discovered in 1859 near the water, far from any volcano. That was the first clue. Even now, new discoveries are changing our views on the Olmec. So much remains unknown. But we, at LTI, are impatient. We want to know what we can about Olmec theater. We believe its legacy lives on and influences us in a profound way. And so, we begin our search. And we begin with books. And I have several on theater history. But guess what? Nothing on Olmec theater. For example, History of the Theater. You look in the index under O for Olmec, and you find Olivier Lawrence, the actor. 6 entries. But nothing on Olmec civilization, which lasted 1,000 years. As if the Olmec had never existed. Let's go. There had to be Olmec theater. Not doing theater would be like not breathing. We have to do it. We have to imitate and make believe and play and watch each other. It's natural. Even babies laugh when we make faces. That's theater. And animals like the possum, it pretends to be dead. That's theater. But where would we find Olmec theater if not in books? What's this? A flyer for Olmec theater. It doesn't say where. I have an idea. Let's go. Come on. Look, Olmec theater. Look, Mayan theater, Aztec theater, coming soon. Let's go inside. Hello? 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 Where's the Olmec theater? Use your imagination. 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 The Gulf of Mexico. Just 500 years ago, Spanish ships sailed on these waters and landed 600 miles south of where I'm standing. In less than 2 years, the great Aztec Empire, the most powerful in all the Americas, was defeated, and the Spanish acted quickly to destroy the languages, religions, and cultures of the Mesoamericans. And most of the performing arts were terminated or altered beyond recognition. But what was it like before the 11 Spanish ships arrived? What sort of theater was there here on the Gulf Coast? The story of indigenous theater ends here where the Europeans arrived, but it begins on another coast and another ocean, the Pacific. And we go back not 500 years, but 20,000, when human beings first migrated to the Americas. They walked from Asia over land that was above sea level during the last ice age. A small portion of that ancient land bridge still exists today. As thousands of years go by and agriculture develops, the people of Mesoamerica give up their nomadic way of life and become farmers. By 1500 BCE, permanent farming villages are established throughout the region. At this same time, the first great Mesoamerican civilization emerges in what is today southern Mexico, the Empire of the Olmec. Most of the Olmec lived in small villages, but there were two major cities. The first was San Lorenzo. San Lorenzo was the first city in the Americas and flourished between 1200 and 900 BCE, at which time it was abandoned for reasons unknown. The second city was La Venta. La Venta was closer to the coast and flourished between 900 and 400 BCE. Religious, commercial, and political leaders lived in these cities. Other major Olmec communities were in Tres Zapotes and Laguna de los Cerros. These places are all near the Gulf Coast. However, in 2007, another Olmec city was found, this time in Sazacatla, near Mexico City. A city 200 miles from the coast means that the Olmec Empire was greater than we thought. The ancient names of these cities are lost, just like the name of the Olmec people. Olmec is an Aztec word meaning the rubber people, reflecting their skill in the cultivation of rubber. The Olmec civilization was a creative source for later Mesoamerican civilizations, Mayan, Zapotec, and Aztec, among others. The Olmec civilization excelled in both the arts and the sciences. These stone blades, called celts, were attached to a handle and used for tilling the ground, as seen in this picture. Often, they were engraved with faces, like this one, or with hieroglyphs, as with this one. The Olmecs also excelled in architecture. They built the first pyramids in the Americas. Made of clay, the pyramid has been damaged by erosion and modern oil drilling. It's now about 100 feet tall and looks like a large mound. But originally, it was rectangular and taller. Located in the center of La Venta, this first American pyramid was built sometime between 900 and 400 BCE. Steps were installed on the back 30 years ago to limit the damage caused by visitors climbing up the sides. The Olmecs were strong in engineering and math, as well as social organization, but also in the fine arts, and their works have a truly distinctive style. Check out their pottery. These pieces are about 3,000 years old. This bowl has symbols along its base, a common feature. Many are illustrated. A plate with two fish. A centipede encircles this cup. Sculptural elements are integrated into many of the works. The designs show great ingenuity, such as this monkey carrying a cup on his back, or this deer that is also a cup. Often, human beings are featured, as in this clay jug. you can see the naturalism and humor of the Olmec style. Now, the most famous Olmec art form, sculpture. Imagine the theater this culture must have had while creating sculptures like these. A major theme in Olmec sculptures is the human baby or infant. The sculptures sometimes included symbols in a language we don't understand. Or mathematics. Athletes are also featured, such as wrestlers. These works point to an advanced physical culture. Training, discipline, and athleticism were celebrated by artists and spectators. In fact, the rubber people probably invented the most popular spectator sport in Mesoamerica, the ball game, played for thousands of years and requiring a heavy rubber ball. Like this one. Courts were used for the game, like this one at Monte Alban, built after the Olmec era. More than 165 ancient ball courts have been found. The Mayans added rings, such as this one, and this was a marker on a ball court. The ball game gives us an idea of what spectator events were like in Olmec cities. The game must have been thrilling to watch, with powerful shared emotions similar to what we experience with theater. The parallels between physical contests and fictional drama are clear. The spectator observes the action in both cases in fractions of seconds, taking in all the dramatic twists and turns. The theatricality of the ball game is evident in the architecture of the ball courts, which resemble outdoor theaters. The ball game was like theater in another way, a ritual with divine significance. The players were not themselves, but actors in a supernatural story. The Olmec were successful economically, creating cities that thrived for 1,000 years where there had only been farming villages. And they were sophisticated, bringing the arts into every aspect of their lives. Here, we see everyday objects and tools, most of which are crafted into works of art. Awls used for piercing leather and other materials, a jade tool, a cup, and a vase. Here is Olmec jewelry, jade necklaces, bracelets, anklets, beads, ear spools, and pendants, often in the form of miniature masks. In this sculpture, we see a complete look: sandals, anklets, bracelets, ear spools, and multiple necklaces. Fashionably cut clothes in a balanced ensemble of robe, blouse, and cloak, crowned with an elaborate multi-layered headpiece, and the playful smile brings it to life. Here are more examples. The Olmec had the luxury of clothing and decorating the human form with great care, skill, and high critical standards, complementing their culture of physical conditioning, spectator sports, and rituals. They saw themselves in mirrors made of obsidian, a glassy volcanic rock, chiseled into concave shapes and polished until smooth and gleaming. The best mirrors in the Americas. All the elements of a theater culture were in place: public performances, humor, mythical stories, often of supernatural transformations, a thriving arts culture, leisure time, and the habit of looking in a mirror. Now, some of the most commonly found artifacts: masks. These masks survived for 3,000 years because they're made of stone, but clothing and paintings and masks made from degradable materials did not. With one exception, a wooden mask, which proves masks were made from materials that could be worn by performers. You can see the naturalism of the nose and the ears with their openings for ear spools. The most famous sculptures of the Olmec are their massive stone heads. And they're interesting for theater because each one is modeled on an individual with a distinct personality, despite the stylistic similarities. We've seen so many faces and facial expressions on huge heads, masks, figurines, and even on jugs and cups and tools. But other sculptures reveal sensitivity to body language, how we express things in the way we stand or sit, our posture, how we move and gesture, the language of the dancer and the actor. At this point, I feel like I can just close my eyes and imagine what Olmec Theater must have been like. Olmec Theater. That was amazing. Let's go. By the way, if you're having trouble imagining Olmec Theater after all these sculptures, masks, fashion, mirrors, and sports, we do have proof of Olmec Theater. No need to imagine it, just look. That concludes our look at Olmec Theater. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to catch all of our new videos. From Latino Theater Initiatives, I'm Dominique de los Reyes. See you next time.